it's one of those tricky situations where you either need someone to talk to or you want to be left alone. Be a great help if maybe you can let me know which
Go
one
away,
it is.
please.
Okay.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Underrated Podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss films that we feel are underrated, underappreciated, or ones that have just slipped under the radar and passed most people by. This show is a collaboration of friends, and together we are the Undercast Company. I am Ariel, and I'm joined by Alan and Derek. Today we are going to be talking about the movie This Is Where I Leave You, a 2014 comedy drama directed by Sean Levy and screenplay by source material author Johnathan Tropper. This movie is filled with a massive ensemble cast, which includes Jason Bateman, Tina Fey, Adam Driver, Corey Stoll, Jane Fonda, Catherine Hahn, Rose Byrne, and Derek Sky Timothy Oliphant.
He's still my heart. Oh.
He's still my guy too. I love him.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
Cowboy.
Me too, baby.
All these actors playing a very real characters dealing with the death of a family patriarch who the four siblings and their mother honor by sitting Shiva, and in the process reconnect with not just each other but with themselves. While this movie did double its production price, it was not too hard to do with a pretty low budget of just under $20 million. Currently, this movie is wrongfully only a 44% at Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.6 on IMDb. This movie just shows how misconstrued these sites are and why our show is necessary, in my opinion. Because of this, because for me, in my opinion, this is one of the best human stories that I've ever seen and deserves a lot more recognition. And so with that, Alan and Derek, let's get into it.
All right. I'll go first. Did you want to? Oh no, yeah, you already let them know.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. So, oh man, you guys like to pick the ones that frustrate me sometimes. This one, it was a tough watch for me. I was kind of like really excited because of the ensemble cast. There's so many great players in it. Yeah, like I said, it's about a funeral kind of thing, and I'm not a big fan of this type of trope where it's like there's a death in the family, and then all the siblings come together and they go back to their own hometown, and then they rediscover old flames and stuff like that, or they discover about themselves. I've always kind of thought that was cheesy. But with this one, I like it wasn't cheesy. I like it was very emotional and very real, I guess. I think that's why it frustrated me, because there was times where I was like yelling at the screen and going, fuck that, like why kind of thing. I think particularly with the plot line with
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman's character and his cheating wife, who maybe it's that good. It just got me so heated because I'm still kind of reeling over it. I don't know exactly. I kind of watched it in a mood today, so I can't really say that I liked it or didn't like it, because it just kind of made me go, fuck that bitch. I hope she fucking dies. Fuck that baby. Like I was yelling
fuck that baby. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, like when they're checking the heartbeat and they're like, no. I was like, let that baby die. Fuck that baby. I was so pissed.
Alan.
I'm sorry. That whole plot line or story arc just really frustrated me. I was like, oh my fucking god. And then he's like, I have to forgive her, I guess. And I was like, you don't have to do shit, bro. I'm like, get the fuck out. But that was the one thing that kind of got me. But I liked that there was really good character arcs, with Adam Driver's character and Corey Stoll, and the one thing I'll say, it wasn't particularly funny, but it was very dramatic and very real. And I really loved the big kind of twist at the end with Jane Fonda and her having a lover, like she's I guess she's bisexual at the end of it.
Yeah.
And that literally came out of nowhere. Like I was like, whoa! I loved her character. She was such a sweetheart. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, that really gravitated towards me. The massive appeal.
for our audio listeners, while Alan said that,
like
he like cupped his breast to simulate how big Jane Fonda's
big, two beautiful big eyes that just draw
you. She was just her personality was massive in this film, and she was so wonderful. But no, I loved her character, I think, the most. Like, she was so sweet, and she's like, you know, she came up with the whole Shiva. I kept calling it Shiv.
I had no idea what it was in the beginning. Like, I was watching with my parents, and they're like, "What did they just?" Because my dad was talking over the movie, so my mom was like, "What did she say?" That I'm like, "We wound it." I was like, "Oh, Shiva." I still don't know what that is. So let's watch and find out. So yeah, I hadn't heard of it before this movie either.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either, and I kind of like that they're like, but wasn't he atheist, a Jewish atheist? That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
but no, like I like that she like that her whole arc and everything I loved, because she was like, I just want to be with my family again, and you know, I care about my kids, and in a way she kind of had them get through their moments. Like, they're all going through some kind of thing in their life, with like, you know, my girl Tina Fey being with like a really kind of shitty businessman kind of husband, and then her kind of leading back to our boy Timothy Oliphant and stuff. And his arc too was so sad. Like when he was when he went outside and he's like holding the wrench and he's just like, I don't know why I'm here. I was like,
that fucking got me. Yeah,
that got me. I was like, oh man, you know, it's a very emotional film. I'll tell you guys that. But yeah, I mean, I think talking about it, I think I liked it. I think I dug it a lot. It's just, I think when I went into it, I was just kind of going through my own thing, and I was just like, ugh. But other than Jason Bateman's like story arc and Dax Shepard being a total douchebag,
yeah, man, fucking, I was so mad. I was like, fuck you, Kristen Bell's husband. I was so mad.
Christian.
I told my girlfriend, I was like, because she's like a big Kristen Bell fan, and I was like, I hope he's not that much of a dickhead in real life. I was like, because she's amazing. She's a sweetheart. I love her in The Good Place. And I was like, he better treat her like a queen or something. Because I was like, fuck him in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it you know what? I dug it. It got me this heated and this like into it. Like, I was like, all right, it did what it was supposed to. So yeah, I dug it. And again, Adam Driver, I love Adam Driver. Like, anything he's in, I'll watch. Like, he's great. But yeah, that's enough about me, because I'm just gonna keep going. But yeah, go for it, Derek.
Yeah, no, I think that underrated is exactly the perfect word to describe this movie. Like, I feel like of all the movies we've covered, like, if like we're just like, one is just like hey, what's an underrated movie? Oh, This Is Where I Leave You. You know, I think that's like a really good, because like nobody's really, like, people don't really talk about it ever. You know.
So Derek, yeah, like, that's one thing that I want to get, especially your opinion on, is like, having seen this, would you have believed that it would have gotten a 44 on Rotten Tomatoes?
No, like that. Well, okay, I can see why it did. I can see like how like there would be criticisms that critics would levy against it, and I can see why it did underperform at the box office, because you did mention that it doubled its production cost or whatever, which is not a good thing. Honestly, movies pretty much have to do more than double, because when you factor in, like, I mentioned this a couple times in the show, but when you factor in like advertising and stuff like that, and I think I worked at the movie theater when this came out, and I remember there being like a big push for it. So you know, if they basically do double their the budget of it, it's pretty much break even. So this movie didn't likely make maybe a little bit of money, but it was very underwhelming. Underwhelming with critics. People don't really still talk about it ever. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like it does feel like a movie that you would see on like TBS or something and be like, oh yeah, I remember that, like from like 5 years ago when that came out. It is
shown on TBS.
That's how I watched it, was the TBS app. So, which is funny, because
I had to rent it, unfortunately, because the TBS app wasn't working for me.
I think you had
AT&T
TV. I wish I'd
on a streaming thing. I'm so like upset that AT&T Uverse, which no longer exists, is still on the app, but AT&T TV, which I now have, is not on the app, and I'm pissed off. But okay, go on.
Yeah, but I wish I had rented it, kind of, because when I watched it, I was visiting with my parents, and like they have like cable, so I was like able to watch it on the app, which I don't have, but like it would be like all the cuss words were like they did the thing in the movie where someone would like what the, and like you'll see them say fuck, like you can see their mouth say fuck, but they just say heck, or there's stuff where the kid is saying shit, but like he says poop, so like the joke doesn't even make sense. But so like I wish I had watched the real version, but it does seem like kind of one of those movies like, oh yeah, I remember when that came out, and it's like one of those movies you like see people advertise like a bunch, and then you don't see it really, and then you see it a bunch on like one of those random channels in the 20s or whatever. But I think that underrated is the perfect way to describe it, because more than maybe any other movie that we've talked about, it does feel just underrated. Like it's not it's like, yeah, this was like a solid movie that I can see why it was overlooked by critics and audiences, but I really enjoyed every minute of it. Like I was like, this is a good movie. I like this movie. I'm really glad I watched it. It's not something that I would have normally gone to go see. Like there's not, other than the cast, which is, by the way, like this cast is honestly the best cast this side of Ocean's 11. Like fucking incredible. Like you mentioned a lot of like the cast. I think I don't know if there's like even some of the smaller people in it. Like there's a lot of really great like comedic character actors. Like Ben Schwartz is in it, or Catherine Hahn.
Oh my gosh. I didn't mention.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
Ben
like
Schwartz character.
Ben Schwartz, so fucking good. Catherine Hahn, she's on WandaVision now. Like people have been sleeping on her. Like she's always so great. Like she's in Step Brothers. She kills it in that. Everybody in this is so fucking incredible. It's really good. And the reason I say it's more underrated than some of the other stuff we talk about, because some of the other movies I talk about, I'm like, this movie is like an all-timer. Like this movie, like I need to shout from the rooftops that this is like needs to be seen. They're like underrated, or like movies we've talked about, like Zodiac, for example. Like that movie is like a movie that did really well critically but underperformed financially, whereas this one, it's like it did kind of bad on all the fronts. And while I think Zodiac might be a movie that I will go back to more and is more of a favorite, like this one is more just like across the board. Like it is just kind of that underrated kind of movie. It really feels like when we started this, the kind of movie that we had a mission to kind of like go out and talk about, these kind of movies that nobody really talks about, in any circles, and we're sometimes we'll like get one of the three, like this one's, under the radar, and this one's more underrated, and this one's, like more kind of just whatever, like, but this one, it clicked all the boxes, and I really did enjoy it. I can see why critics didn't like it, because I think there was a little bit of weirdness tonally. Like Ben Schwartz, who is incredible and hilarious, kind of feels like he's in a different movie at times. Like he's kind of in a more slapstick, funny movie. And same kind of stuff with Catherine Hahn, like that scene where she's trying to like seduce Jason Bateman. I was like, this is kind of like something else. Like it's something I enjoyed, but like it was kind of like, okay, this isn't really meshing with what else is going on. But I did really enjoy all of it, except for I have one complaint. I have one serious complaint, and that is the fucking wig they put on Timothy Olyphant. I don't know what the fuck that was, because Timothy Olyphant has some of the greatest hair I've ever seen, and that wig was awful.
Was this like, I think this was during Justified? So that might have been a thing?
This would have been
probably was
during Justified.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think during his like short hair Justified too.
Yeah.
Or shorter hair.
I really, Timothy Olyphant was, I think he was a little bit of, I don't want to say underutilized, but like he was just a little bit more restrained than he usually is. Like he oozes charisma, and he seemed like, I think it was the right choice for the part, because his character is supposed to be somebody who is like this very charismatic guy who had this awful brain injury happen to him, and like he's kind of like doesn't have it anymore. So I think that was a really smart casting choice.
Yeah.
Tina Fey's character was probably my favorite character. I was really invested in her storyline and her romance with Timothy Olyphant. I was really about that. Jason Bateman, I'm always glad to see. Although I was a little upset at Rose Byrne at the end. I'm like, you're too good for this guy. You're way too good for this guy. Like, he needs to figure his shit out. Like
No,
6 months.
he's going to figure his shit out.
I was like,
but the thing is, like, I felt like Jason Bateman wasn't like, he wasn't like a bad dude per se. Just he was going through the shitter like hard. Like his wife just cheated on him, and his dad just passed away. And like, I get it, he's going through some shit, but at the same time, I didn't think he wasn't good enough for her. I just thought, like, I was like, yeah, you should wait a little while because you're going through a lot. But I was like, when he's like, yeah, let's get together in like 6 months or something, I was like, go for it, dude. Like,
yeah,
because I was like, you need something in your life to make you happy.
Yeah, he's definitely like, he's a man who has lost his own way. You know, he lost his way, and his probably ex-wife kind of like, you know, brings that up of like, you know, we lost connection, even though that's not a excuse to cheat on anybody, but just the whole like, just the whole like, we lost connection. You lost yourself like along the way. And I think that's what his story arc kind of like, and at the end, he's going to go on and find himself.
I did like that he was going to be like, but I also was just like, I was like, from Rose Byrne's perspective, it's just like, she's just like, yeah, give me a call in 6 months if I'm still single. Like if I was her, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not waiting around for you. Like I'm hot, you know, like fuck it. You
Girl,
know?
I don't think she's socially awkward in a small town. Like I don't, truthfully.
I don't know.
As another socially awkward person, it's not easy. It's not socially awkward.
I'm just saying,
girl.
You know, she's I'm just saying, you know, just Ariel. If somebody comes along to you and you're like, this guy's cool, and he says, wait for 6 months, say fuck that shit. If I'm still single,
no, I'm gonna probably, if he's a really nice guy, I'm gonna probably wait for 6 months because I've waited 24 years. Or no, I mean I'm 28, but like, so let's see, like 14 years. We'll say 10 years.
Yeah. But one quick question I can ask you guys, because I feel like I might have missed something. Why the fuck did she get so mad at him? Like
she didn't tell him that he was having a kid.
He barely found out before that scene.
He barely found out.
But the thing is that she kind of got self-conscious.
He slept with her before. I mean, after he knew that he was having the kid. He knew he was having the kid with his ex-wife when he slept with Rose Byrne. Because I remember when he was doing that, I was like, this is a little bit fucked up. Like I had that thought. And then
not at all. You know what?
No.
I think that's why I was confused, because I was like, "Oh fuck that, dude! Go get laid.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Get laid. But like, let her be honest with her about the situation you're in with your ex-wife. Like,
like
you got to be upfront with that shit.
I think it was more about her being self-conscious, like, oh, you know, like he's gonna go back to, you know, because he has a kid, he's going to go back to her, you know. It's kind of like it was her trying to protect herself from, you know, heartbreak, essentially. Like, you know,
I think like, I think it's just like, she's like, he's keeping something like this from me, you know. I don't know. I didn't think that was cool.
I think it was her being self-conscious. I'm with Ariel, because I legit was like, why the fuck are you mad? I was like, first off, homeboy really cares about you, and he just went through 2 really bad things right now, and like, I mean, it's no excuse to be like, oh, you know, let me have sex with you so I feel better, but it's like, I just was kind of like, what the fuck's your problem? I was like, why are you upset? Like, you know, like, I just felt like she was kind of more self-conscious and insecure, where I was like, what's going on? I was like, why the fuck are you mad out of anybody? I was like, I'm screaming at the TV because like she unexpectedly showed up and she was like, hey bro, so guess what, I'm pregnant. And I was like, how about I fucking push you down the stairs, you bitch? But
oh my gosh,
sorry, that really just really irked me. Like, that's the biggest complaint I have about this movie, is that story arc was just like really like frustrating. But other than that, you know, I was like, bro, you know, fucking go to Maine, go fuck around with like Pennywise and Salem's Lot and all that shit. And find yourself over there.
He's driving up to Maine to like be in every Stephen King novel ever written.
Legit. Like right when I saw that, I was like, he's like, I'm gonna find myself in 6 months, and I'm like, you're gonna die in 6 months if you go to Maine. Like I was just expecting him to see like the 1990 Pennywise just standing there with the red balloon, just like like pointing at him, and he's just like, "Oh, okay." There's a random clown on the entrance to Maine, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and the one other thing I wanted to say about this movie is like it feels like, it's very much. I kind of wish I had watched it maybe like 6 months ago because it feels like a really good quarantine movie because it's like you got all the family stuck in that house, like and like the world is fucking crazy. And it would have been like it was really like I was watching this movie and it was like, oh shit, this reminds me a lot of shit that I was going through like 6 months ago when like the pandemic started and just like all this fucking shit was happening like in my own life and like just like it was just like, oh man, like because like how Jason Bateman was saying is like sometimes when just stuff happens, it just keeps happening and like these like like how he got his divorce and then his dad died right away and these two very unrelated things and it just one piles on the other, and like that you have like 2020 was obviously shitty for everybody, because like the things going on in the world and then everybody, a lot of people had their own just personal shit going on and I could definitely relate to that. And then you're in this house, with your family that you might not see. And I was for the first couple months of the lockdown, like the first month or so of the lockdown, from in about March for pretty much most of March, when the store was shut down. I was just like there, and it was me and my parents and my brother just like quarantining all together at my parents' house, just fucking chilling. And so like I could really relate to like, oh yeah, like we're all just back in our parents' house. Like it's the family that we, like I'm close with my family, a lot closer than these guys are. But it's like, oh yeah, it's my one brother who kind of reminds me of Adam Driver's character a little bit. Like we're all just like back in it again. So I was like seeing a lot of parallels between like, yeah, the way the world was 6 months ago and this. And I'm kind of glad that I watched this movie now because it feels a lot more like of the time. Like it's funny because like I actually laugh when like there's that line when she's like, come on, it's 2014, and I was just like, oh, like it just was like threw me back into like I was like, this is a movie from the past, this is not a movie like that, because it feels so of today's time. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I guess that's kind of my like 2 cents on it. Very underrated, very very relevant today. But Ariel, I know that I can see it in your eyes. You're ready to just tell us how much you love this movie. I wanted to hear it.
Yeah,
real quick. What real quick thing when Derek was saying, he's like, I can relate to like the family being at home, and one of my brothers like Adam Driver, and like I know you guys are thinking about Adam Driver in this movie, but I was just imagining like Derek's family, they're at the table and like just fucking one of his brothers comes down dressed up like Kylo Ren, and then he's just like, and he's like, I don't know if I have the strength to do what I have to do or whatever. Like, yeah, he just come down and have dinner, chill.
Yeah, he just goes up to my dad and he's just like, I don't know, and my dad's just like, you gotta do it. What are you talking about? Go ahead and do it. And then of course, he would also just keeping with the Kylo Ren thing or the Adam Driver thing. He would like, I just had sex and now I've got nachos.
I thought that was gonna be this movie because I wasn't sure, and I was like, is he gonna do it in this one? And I was like, nah, it's probably when he does it in Star Wars, I guess.
No, it's What If. That's also a really good movie in my opinion.
That's a solid movie. That was one of my quarantine watches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no, for me, yeah, this is my pick. I actually when I picked it, I'm always kind of nervous, like, okay, how's this movie is this live up to like my idea of it? And I don't know, but like when I rewatched it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this movie is so much like I chose it, so I knew it was really good, but it's so much better than I even thought it was. Like it's just a very real story. And I know, Derek, you said that some things are kind of like feel like they're out of tune with the rest of the movie, but I think it's just that adds to its realness of just like things just happen in life. You could go from one moment of being like very somber or like being very like existential like thoughts and stuff like that, and then the next one is just like a guy calling another guy boner and like trying to hit his nutsack or something like that. But yeah, it's just such incredible acting in this movie. I mean, this is kind of before Jason Bateman's kind of like he just got nominated for Golden Globe, and he's been consistently getting nominated for Golden Globes for like Ozark and all these other movies like The Outsider he was just in and did phenomenal in. And yeah, so this is kind of like it if people know Jason Bateman from that, I'm sure like if they come back to this movie they won't be surprised by it, but it's just for me a very real family story, and I very much like appreciated that and like felt so engaged in it. Like you feel for all of these characters, like Tina Fey, her conversation with Jason Bateman's character on the roof, and her saying like essentially, just you just have to like do that one night stand with that girl, and then you're gonna go back to your family, and like in that instance you're thinking like, okay, she's like talking to him like, and because he's safe and stuff, but then when she walks out of was it Rhodey's Timothy Oliphant's character's house, you kind of like realize like, oh, she was talking about herself all along, like she like ended up going back to the kind of loveless marriage that she has, and you just like her own daydreaming was what she was mentioning to him, and yeah, it's just all these characters like, yeah, like Adam Driver doesn't end up anywhere at the end, like he but he ends up back with his family and like he reconnecting with that, but he still kind of is their screw up, but he's their lovable screw up, I guess you can say. And yeah, like, and then the oldest brother, kind of like in the really funny scene with them, like smoking the weed from their
that was incredible, by the way. I fucking was cracking up during that.
Yeah, it's one of the best, and just that's why it's like that's what life is. It's just like you're at a sermon that you don't want to go to, and then you have like like this very connecting moment with your siblings, and then all this funny shit happens and stuff with the sprinklers. And yeah, it's just like I don't know if it's just like me, like kind of I don't really have that much kind of relationship with my siblings, but that kind of like and like just the whole idea of a family, and that at the end of the day they are family. So yeah, that's why I think it just like really connected with me, and like I enjoyed it so much. Like I like right after I watched it, I was like, I want to watch this like again right now. I didn't have time, but but like it's definitely like one that like if I want to feel good, I will probably watch this movie. And yeah, it's just like if you haven't seen this movie, you haven't heard of this movie, please go out and watch it and give it some more love than it deserves. You see side of Adam Driver that's not his marriage story Adam Driver, and not his like Star Wars Adam Driver, but like this really good instance of a different side of Adam Driver, and Jason Bateman, like being an awesome actor, and just really good ensemble movie.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that, and I can definitely relate to the sibling thing too, because like me and my brothers are really close now, but we were never close growing up because I'm because they're twins, and I'm kind of the older brother, so like it's like them being the same age, we were never close. But then when we all kind of became adults, and it's just like you still have that kind of like same like how they act like kids still kind of around each other, like we still have that. And when we grew up, and especially there was this time when like I moved back in with my parents for like 6 months because like I had to move out of the place I was at, and I was looking for a new apartment when I was like 22 or something. And like me and my brother were like, he was getting ready to move to go up to like go to college, and so he had like a semester off, and we just like hung out every night would just like fucking watch Pacific Rim and get like drunk and shit. And so like I was like related to a lot of the, you know, shit like the brother bonding that it was in this movie. I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, the sibling bonding in this movie was like a lot like the brother bonding that I had in real life. So I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, this is a vibe, you know, this is real shit. Before we wrap up, can we just say if we want to recommend it? Because I gotta say, I gotta push a recommendation out for this movie.
Yeah.
Even if you know it's something that, you know, doesn't seem like it would be up your alley. It's like an hour and a half, and you know, it is, you know, you'll you know, you'll get some reaction out. Like Alan, you know, like we might not have loved it, you know, but you know, I think Alan, you had a very similar reaction to it that Ariel had to pick a movie that is very meaningful to me, like Crazy. So even with it being, you know, not like the movie that you necessarily like loved, I think you did get like a strong reaction out of it and something you are thinking about and talking about a lot, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I try not to hate on every movie, every film I see, even if like I kind of didn't like it when I was watching it, but like if it garners like a reaction out of me where like I'm yelling at the TV or I'm just going, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like if it's bringing emotion out and if that's like the purpose of it, then I can't say it was a bad movie. I mean, yeah, there's some people who can say, "Oh, if you watch a shitty movie and you're mad about it, then that's a whole different story." I guess that's subjective. But with this one, yeah, when I was watching it, I was frustrated and I was like angry at certain things, but other things I was like, okay, that's cool. Like I can relate to that and this. And then, you know, cause I just watched it like, you know, I think I watched it 20 minutes before we started this. So it was still like kind of like fuming in there and kind of bubbling up. And then now talking about it, I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, I'd recommend it. Like it's one of those movies you just kind of have to see and like feel how you feel. Like, cause I don't hate it. You know, I'm not saying like, I didn't like it. It was just more kind of like, just it's a very emotional film, and I think it's very relatable to a lot of people. And I feel like I want to recommend it just on like the reaction it got out of me, and also because it does fit the criteria of what we talk about. It's underrated, you know. Like even when I saw the RT score, I was like, damn, that's pretty low. But I was like, look at this cast. But yeah, like the acting's incredible. You know, the writing's good. Except for that one arc that I'm not a fan of. But, you know, yeah, the tone every now and again shifts a little bit. It didn't drastically didn't pull me out of the movie, but I was just like, I see what they were trying to do. But in all, there's a lot of emotion that everybody can relate to in some way or another, just like you with your siblings, or even me. I've been in a funeral where, like, you know, I'm with my cousins. I'm more closer to my cousins, and even us being at that funeral, we joke around and talk shit, and we're right there at the church, and you know, our family member just passed away, but that's the way we dealt with it. Is just like the smoking weed scene. It's just like just here, and we're dealing with it in our own way. But yeah, definitely give it a watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely one that we are recommending full-heartedly, and really hope that you guys take a watch on it and don't let it pass you by any longer.
Because I think that's, you know, kind of like one of, you know, our core missions here on our Underrated Podcast is to like find shit that people might not know about, you know, and be like, hey, check it out, you know. And I think this movie, like, really in spades does fulfill that.
Yeah. Well, with that, thanks everybody for listening. I am hoping, I know I have to talk to Derek, but I think we've talked about it, but I'm hoping that now that there's the end of the desert of no MCU content, we will hopefully come back to our Marvel podcast of Infinity Stones and Dragon Bones, discuss, because there's a lot to discuss, especially with WandaVision, but I know that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is coming out, and a few other little tidbits of movies and things like that. So I'm hoping we'll come back soon for that. We also have some fairly new podcasts of my podcast called You've Never Seen, ? Where I introduce people to pop culture movies or movies of cinematic history that they've never seen before. the next episode that will be coming out will be with Alan, and we're gonna probably discuss, I would say, a classic kind of, I wouldn't say kids movie, but a coming of age movie, and then so go on your podcasting app and look for the Screaming Woman in Green for my podcast. Derek also has another podcast called Gateway Episodes, where he leads people through the gateway of a show that they've also never seen, with an episode that very greatly represents the whole series and will grab them and pull them in and through the gateway.
Yeah.
And yeah, so look for the I would say the Archway in White, Gateway Archway in White on your podcasting apps. It's also on our YouTube channel. You've never seen will probably be going on our YouTube channel fairly soon as well. And so with all that, we will be back soon with another underrated film. So stay tuned, and thanks for being amazing.
Yeah, and just real fast before we totally end, check out Gateway Episodes, because me and Ariel talk about Justified, speaking of Timothy Oliphant. But this is the first time we've talked about it on Underrated. We are actually going to be launching a Patreon. By the time this episode drops, we should have already launched. So that the Patreon, if you guys want to, no pressure at all. Like, we love you guys just for listening. But if you want to donate, we have the option of donating like either $1 a month or $3 a month. If you donate at any level, you're going to get access to a bonus podcast we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about stuff that doesn't fit into any of the other podcasts. So it's a more general, like, entertainment podcast. It could lead from entertainment news, from any space of pop culture that we'll probably be discussing. Yep, and we'll
pretty much just like, and it's pretty much just us, like, just hanging out, right? Just kind of just shooting shit,
I wouldn't mind.
much, you know.
Yeah, I know the first episode we're going to be kind of topping off with our top 5 of 2020. Even though it was kind of a hard year for cinema.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely be talking about that on the episode.
Yeah,
that's why it's not a top 10. It's only a top 5. We had to cut it down.
Yep, yeah, but I wouldn't mind talking about my, like, some Funko news that I had, and how one day led me to buying 11 pops.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll be talking about whatever. Like, it could be anything, and we'll release episodes whenever we hit certain goals for Patreon. So our first episode will be out as soon as one person subscribes. The second one is going to be once the 25 people subscribe, and from there we'll see how it goes. And we're probably going to funnel anything we get from that kind of back into the podcast, on advertising, or maybe getting me a proper mic, or who knows what. But we're going to try and keep all that money in the house.
All right, you guys. Thanks for reading Maisie. Talk to you guys later.
Take it easy, guys.
See you in another life.